Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Baldocks. I'm Neil Baldock, and this is,
Matt Baldock.
and we're going to talk Baldocks today. So, what we're talking about today is marketing for estate agents, and in particular, the amount of touch points that people have to have with clients before they will do business with them. So, um,
I think everyone's always looking for that silver bullet, aren't they, really? And the idea with marketing is, yeah, you want quick results, but you've got to play the long game, and the short game all at once. If you go on a Simon Ledbetter 30 years of marketing course, which we would highly recommend, he will tell you slightly unhelpfully, but truthfully, that you've got to play the long game and the short game all at once. But you put something in with where we've got a WhatsApp group for the dinner that we host and the members of that. You put something in the other day about bumping into people, recognizing you for varying things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've taken on an HMO instruction. It's one of our sort of lines of business, um, where I've been almost recommended three times. One by the old landlord of it, who we hadn't actually ever done business with, but we'd been writing to him for a long time. One by um, the agent who sold it, and thank you very much to him. And he's obviously knows you through social media and kind of watches our content. And then finally, we had actually been found online by that landlord Googling HMO management in Chelmsford. So I guess that's just one example of yeah, we've if you think about it realistically, we've been marketing for that one property probably for a few years actually,
Yeah.
because of the amount of times we'd have written to that landlord, and even though we've never met him, he's obviously been getting our content and said, "Oh well, these are the guys to go to." So, yeah, I think it's just I always say with marketing, you've got to be relentless, and it's about people say to us all the time actually, God, I see you guys everywhere. And I think that's kind of a case in point is that you've got to be everywhere, haven't you? And you've got to be relentlessly everywhere and popping up all over the place in different mediums. Um, people talk about market message media, and you need to be on a few different of those medias, but all the time, and not do a little bit and then think, oh, that doesn't work. Let me switch to something else. It's that consistency, as we always talk about with everything, isn't it? But it is touch points and just being out there relentlessly.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's much like, I mean, the consistency is a good point. It's much like we always say there's no point leafleting 1,000 houses once. You might as well you should really leaflet 100 houses 10 times. If you're going to do that. And we've been guilty of that in the past. I remember, I mean, I'm a big fan of letters, but I remember when we first signed up to a letter system many years ago, sending out a batch of letters, didn't get a phone call, said, "Oh, this can't work." But then once you continually do that, I mean, we track so the letters for the on-market properties that we send to, they get it's usually letters between letters 7 to 9. So I suppose you could say letter 8, but yeah, it's always 7 to 9 that gets us the phone call.
That would have been an easier way to say it.
It would have been, wouldn't it? Yeah. So yeah, letters 7 to 9 that seem to get the phone call. Funny enough, people mention 7, they mention 9. They don't ever tend to mention 8, and the content's not that different. But you fire someone off 2 letters, they don't come back to you. It's not going to work. And I think there's the old I think it's attributed to Google, isn't it? The 7-11-4 principle that for a client to want to trust you and buy from you, they need 7 hours of exposure across 11 different touch points and in 4 different locations. And I think sometimes when agents hear that kind of marketing speak, or 7-11 for it sounds good, you think, well, how can I actually attribute that to my business? So, the 11 bit, the 11 touch points, well, I've just said I've got 8 touch points via letters, for instance. But if you look at the locations, it doesn't necessarily mean in different places, but they can see you via a direct mail letter, a leaflet, a social media post, a YouTube video, down the school fate. There's so many places for you to get your face and your name in front of people. But you have to do it a lot, and video I think is a real key for it. Especially if they need 7 hours worth of exposure. Well, the best place to do that is video, right?
100%, mate. And we talk about people do business with people they know, like, and trust, and you've got to be known, haven't you? And that's the first part of it. You've got to be known to then be liked and trusted. And video is a great way to get yourself known. Another example of that is I said to you, didn't I? I was down the pub the other day for a friend's birthday, and literally a lady approached me and said, "Oh, you're the estate agent, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, yes, I am actually. But how do you know that?" And she goes, "Oh, you're the guy that always talks about HMOs and lettings and you know, now I'm a local celebrity in Chelmsford." So
She didn't say you're the estate agent, are you? And then throw a drink over you then.
no, thankfully not this time. But I was out with a load of my ex-police colleagues as well. So estate agents and police officers, we were really in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
But
What
but
a,
it's that point, isn't it? Of like, you just got to get yourself and your company and what you do out there. So I think that's the thing where people we're always looking for that like instant gratification of I want to do something and get a house on the market, or I want to do something and get a landlord there and then. And the reality is, yeah, you've got to. That's like going back to what you said about Simon Ledbetter's the long game and the short game. You've got to play the game of getting yourself known and becoming almost like a celebrity in your local market, and using some strategies that do lead generate. And because both of those go hand in hand, and it's easier to generate leads if you're already if like someone receives a letter from you and they've already seen one of your videos, it just gives you that credibility, and there's already like an element of trust there. Um, so I think there's
and
got to be some strategy behind it though, because otherwise people are running off, they're not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, well, even if you take the four, if you used, and the thing with the world and our attention spans are getting so much shorter that at some point, that someone will argue that 7-Eleven Ford isn't countable. If you just take that to work, if you just look at the four, it says across four touch points. So that really shows maybe master four things as opposed to trying to do 20 different things. And again, agents generally we have that shiny thing syndrome. We see a new thing, we go, we're going to do that, and we see something new, we're going to try that. But maybe if you can, so in our business we've very much honed, direct mail, blogs, video, and general social media. And again, it's a mix. So our social media will be a mix of written and video, because there are you have to realize there are some people out there that like to read, there are some people out there that like to watch, there are some people out there that like to listen. A quick tip for anyone who's not doing it is my phone is constantly on silent. If it doesn't have subtitles, I very rarely watch it. So if you're doing video, I mean, a lot of the social media now will auto caption it, but you can get a free captioning, app, and definitely put captions on your video, because that way people are going to watch them all when they're on the train, that kind of thing. Not everyone has their headphones all the time, but your message can still get across.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, it is that. I think you're right. We're very much into content marketing, video, and social media, aren't we? That's and direct mail. And direct mail is really important. Probably one of the oldest school methods of marketing that is available to anyone. Um, but estate agents sometimes don't recognise why it's so valuable. But of course, if you want to target your audience who live in houses, sending a letter through their letterbox is quite a good way to target them, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know what it's like, even if it's junk mail, if it's in an envelope and you're going to open it because you want to know, is it a fine? Is it a parking ticket? Is it something I need to know? So and then obviously you got to talk about how you craft that message and everything else. But that I guess is for probably another episode. But if
Well,
you
but the standard answer on that is, and this isn't doesn't any disrespect to any of the suppliers that do this, is don't ever use their template letter, and they'll all tell you not to use it as well. But so these things do need a bit of work. You can automate it brilliantly after the event, but at the start you need to work. But just take and it is literally half a day. Take half a day to get all your letters written in your tone of voice, and so they're different. They're different to anybody else, and send them out. And once that work's done, then you can have the letters just firing out, automatically with most of these people now.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. And I think it is getting yourself, choosing what you're gonna pick, and ask other agents what's working for them. Maybe not your direct competitors, but we've got these whole networks of collaboration now. Ask people what is working for you, and success always leaves clues. And then, take that into your own business, um, and put it out there. And I think if you've got a business that's doing really well, and you're like, well, they're always on social media, they're always getting called out to valuations, they're always making videos, they're telling me to use direct mail, then sometimes I think it's like, oh, but there's a new shiny thing over there. Let's go against the grain. Well, no, let's do what works first and do it well. Um, because what we do know is these things work over the long term. And if you
Yeah.
want, I know we all want this instant gratification. We need it. We need some instructions. We need some stuff now. We do need that. And there's things that you can do to go and get those. But even if you're not getting them now, you're still going to want some in a week's time, 2 weeks' time, a month, next quarter. So carry on doing the long term things as well, relentlessly, because then in a year's time, 2 years' time, your life becomes a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's that again, go back to the long term, even things like the anniversaries, touching with, with people when they've bought a house off you, sold a house of you, checking with them every kind of year, and a lot of time I think, Christ, I need some instructions today, and I'm setting something up for a year's time. But I guarantee you, in a year's time, we'll be sat there saying, "Oh, I really want some instructions." There's, the old saying that the best time to plant a tree was 30 years ago or today. And if you're sitting there and you're not doing as much business as you want, and you don't want to feel like that in a year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years time, start the long term work today. So, very short term, as you say, the best place to find people who own houses are in their houses. So you can go and you can go and find them in their houses. If they're on the market, you can obviously find them very easily, and you can speak to a wider audience via social media. As I say, we'd encourage video. I think that's the way the world's gone. Do you know? And I won't be able to attribute the stat or the fact to the right person, but it is a well-known stat that the brain can't distinguish when it sees somebody on a screen and meets them in real life, which is why we all have this affinity. There's this, everyone thinks they know film stars and people follow, bloody Molly May, everyone loves her on YouTube and stuff like that, and everyone thinks they know her. And it is like that. If you're doing enough video, I go on valuations, and when I knock on the door, the people say, "Hey, Matt, how are you?" And they feel like they know you. So that's why I'm a big fan of video. But most importantly, whatever you do, is make sure it's your voice and don't try and be something you aren't. So, I speak a certain way, and I can't really change that. I'm never going to be the most eloquent of speakers. So my videos are recorded generally in my office, just with the camera and me speaking how I speak. My letters are written in my wording, and when I turn up at someone's house, I speak that, because what they don't want to do is fall and say, because you said like and trust. They think they know you. They think, yeah, they like you. Then you turn up and you're someone completely different. Well, that'll just get rid of the trust. People just want that consistency again in tone of voice. So if they think, yeah, I like this guy, I like what he's got to say, and then you turn up and you are that person, they're going to trust you. And then no matter what advice you give them, they're going to believe you and buy into you from then on.
Exactly, because and that's the thing I think sometimes puts people off the videos. It's not an acting job. It's it's just a talking to someone like you would talk to them, but they're not there. It's just you're
Yeah,
talking to the camera, and because what you're actually doing is talking to 100, 200, 300 people at a time. So you don't have to make anything up or put anything on, and you just want to make content about answering questions that you get asked on a daily basis anyway, or you've been asked over the years. So you're almost answering your customers' questions before you've been asked it. Because and that attracts people. I mean, I think we've built our lettings business on content. And my personal opinion is, yeah, okay, you can do, there's some telesales work involved in lettings, and we should be speaking to our database of landlords and that kind of thing. But actually getting landlords onto your books is really it's an attraction model,
Mhm.
and there is and obviously we do lead generation as well, giving away lead magnets, getting them to download something that's of interest to them, putting them into our database, then nurturing them. So that is, yeah, there's definite value in that. But like trying to tout for landlords is almost nigh on impossible because things are let before they even receive the letter. So, that is a very difficult and costly strategy over the long term. Whereas, yeah, I think if you want to build a lettings business, you've got to be the guy or the girl who is known in the area, who knows about the legislation, knows about property investment, knows how to maximize rental yields, etc., etc. The kind of stuff that um, landlords want to know. And the same goes with sellers, isn't it? How to maximize your house prices. I mean, and it's quite easy to have that content because it's all stuff we're getting asked all the time and stuff that people find interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think attraction marketing is the ultimate, right? The ultimate dream of anybody is that all your customers just come flooding through the door to you. You don't, I don't think it ever works. Like, you've always got to work, kind of harder and stuff like that. But on the sales, I think because it is easier to go and find the person behind the front door, it's easier for almost sales agents to go, well, I don't need to worry about the attraction marketing because I can go straight to them. Whereas with lettings, you're very right. There's no point sending letters to tenanted houses. So the content marketing has to work. But if you're clever with sales, you'll be doing both. Um, because the cheapest way is social media posts. That's the cheapest form of marketing. I always say if I said to you, if look, I've got 100 people with houses to sell in this room, do you fancy coming and speaking to them? Would you go over your fear of public speaking? You generally say yes. Well, you can do that in one fell swoop on with a social media post.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but also to do both. So be kind of going for the people that are on the market, etc. But also then be doing the attraction marketing. So you're going to them, but also you've got people coming to you. It is always a case of there is no one very clear answer. Just do that and you win. Do, but as we said, maybe pick 3 to 4 things. So, 3 to 4 things and do them consistently and do them well. But there's no point doing one thing. There's no point trying to do 10. I personally think 3 to 4 is about the optimum that you can do.
Yeah, definitely. But give it time as well. I think that's the important bit, isn't it? Give it time. So once you've chosen those three to four, because you've made a decision that that's what's going to work for you and that's what's worked for other people, then give it time. Don't try it and go, oh, I didn't get a valuation because I made one video. That's never. And I think that's really something that has to be hammered home. Is like it is a bit relentless. You've got to be
Yeah.
relentless in your marketing, content, sending letters, whatever strategies you choose, you've got to pick them and stick to them, and keep going.
I think you've got to give anything you're going to spend money on, especially. I think you've got to give it a minimum of 6 months. I think really for it to come through. I mean, 3 months is the absolute bare bones you want to give anything, but I think realistically, you've got to consistently do something for 6 months, and then you'll see you're going to get. And if you do 4 things consistently for 6 months, you might see results out of 2 of them. So then you go, right, I'll carry on doing those two, and I'm going to swap those 2 things out for another 2 things. So you won't get the 3 or 4 right immediately. And in terms of, having time or not knowing what to talk about, we live in a world where you can outsource pretty much anything. So, you can get your blogs written for you. You can have your videos done via AI now. If you want to look at any of those options, get in touch. We can put you in touch with the right people there. And in terms of what to actually talk about, we were chatting with a mortgage broker the other day, weren't we? And he was saying, not sure what to talk about. And just talk about the real simple stuff because it's obvious to you doesn't mean it's obvious to them. So um, you as an estate agent know what an exchange and a completion is, but first time buyers don't. So speak to them
Mm.
about it. And anything you think is very basic and obvious, there will always be someone out there that doesn't. And listen, if 100 people watch a video and 75 people already know it, so turn it off. There's still 25 new people that know and want to hear from you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've just whilst you were sort of talking, I've just thought we've kind of gone on to some marketing methods, and um, I think we've covered those in another episode, actually, how to get quick wins and things like that. But we were sort of really going to talk today about the touch and just focus on the point of how many touch points you need to have. Um, and I think one thing that's worth mentioning is that, we have it in our business where, obviously you've got to test and measure your marketing and track where your leads are coming from to know what's successful and what's not. Um, but going back to the touch points point is that we have it in our business where a client comes in now and it's almost getting harder to track where they actually came from because
Yeah,
I'll go and say, oh, well, I've just had this client and I asked them where they found us and they said this. And then you'll say, oh, well, actually, I sent them a letter as well. And it's almost like, we both start claiming the lead. But the
it's
point
always
is
mine.
that, well, it's normally the funny thing is they always generally give me the instruction. But no, I'm joking. But I think the point is behind it is that, you got to track your marketing, but you do have to realize that it's changed now and there is these multiple touch points that people need to have. And so you will find, and you can't go into that granular detail with a client because they're going to get a little bit bored if you say, well, which website did you first click on and what did you search and how many letters did you get from me? So, the question is who recommended us or how did you hear about us? And they'll say things like, and we get it all the time. Oh, well, I just see you everywhere on social media, or I see all your blog content. I've been reading it for years, or I've had a load of letters off you. Whatever the case is, whatever strategy we're using, it's all people's comments are always, "I've had a load of this," or "I've seen you everywhere," and I think that just goes back.
Sometimes it's I've had enough of this.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's not a bad thing because it's generated a conversation.
Yeah,
But I think that's the point, isn't it? You've got to track it, but you've also got to realise people are not receiving one letter and contacting you or watching one video and contacting you. You're building it up over the time, these touch points, and building up that knowledge, sharing your knowledge, building up that trust with them. And then when they're ready to buy, that's when they kind of
yeah,
approach you.
definitely. I think that the website's a key indicator of that. Now we get quite a few valuations via our website. But I don't believe, I mean, we've got a very nice website, very good website, and we rank well and we do a lot of work to get people on it. But I think if we just went, right, people come to our website, naturally, let's switch off every other bit of marketing we do, you'd find those leads would dry up. So, they get a letter or they see us on Facebook or they get a leaflet or they get recommended and then they go onto our website. And that's the bit you see. But as you say, if you start saying, listen, Mrs. Smith, at 3:13, did you get the letter or did you get recommended? And then you clicked on this website, people get annoyed. So yeah, you're entirely right. You definitely want to track it because you want to work out what's working, what's not working. Because if something isn't working, stop it. And if something is working, double down on it.
Yeah,
Um, but we have to understand now we're not in this kind of binary world, 20 odd years ago, maybe less, it was either the newspaper or Rightmove. There was pretty much two, well, the office. People either they got the paper, they came to your office, they saw you on Rightmove, and that was about it. The world has massively changed now, so you do have to be aware, and it's frustrating from a business owner's point of view when you're trying to spend your money so wisely. But you have to be aware nowadays that yeah, you're never going to get that one perfect answer as to where a lead came from.
yeah. And just on the website point, I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but one of the top referral sources to our website is actually people searching Charles David Casson, as well as estate agents in Chelmsford and other things, and visiting from properties we share on social media with our own link rather than Rightmove and that
Mm,
kind of thing. But actually, we do get quite a high level of traffic where people have actually just searched our agency name,
sure.
which indicates they've had a letter and gone onto our website, or they've seen a video and decided to visit our website or visited our social media page and decided to Google us. So we are getting people actually searching Charles David Casson. Um, and I think that just shows, doesn't it, that they're knowing about us through other channels,
Yeah.
but that just shows that they've had to have all these touch points in order to want to go and search that.
Yeah, no, no, most definitely. Yeah, I don't think we can probably say it enough without just starting to talk complete Bulldogs. But yeah, just consistent marketing over a variety of areas for a decent time span will bring you leads.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I hope that's helpful to anyone out there who's pushing for leads, pushing for instructions, and feeling a little bit fed up with it. Um, yeah, we make a lot of content in this space. If you need any help with anything, get in touch with us. Please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this video if you think it can help other agents as well. And Have you got anything else to say, Matt, before we wrap up?
I've been Matt Baldock. You've been,
I've been Neil Bullock.
and that was Talking Baldocks.
See you next time.